Sup flappers, welcome to another video, and today we're going to be talking about Inazuma. I think it's about time. No leaks in the video. As always, these are just purely predictions. Seeing how miHoYo has been operating and predicting how miHoYo will continue to operate, we can likely make some, I'd say, pretty interesting predictions when it comes to Inazuma. Some may be good and others you might not want to hear, but as always, this is just my predictions. In a way, it's just my opinion. You are free to share your own opinions down below in the comments. I actually look forward to reading all of your comments when it comes to these kind of videos, because let's just be honest, nowadays it's almost as fun talking about the game and what's to come as playing it. So if you enjoy this type of content, like, subscribe. I make them every single day regarding Genshin Impact. Alright? So, one of the things that I really want to get out of the way first, and if you've been watching my videos, following my content for a while, I've been saying this for almost a month, and I think that when Inazuma does drop, it's definitely not going to be dropped in a single patch. And this is one of miHoYo's main philosophy, which is, if it works, milk it, right? Don't just do it once. In fact, this isn't just something that miHoYo likes to do. Any big project or anything that is huge, if you can recall, usually has part 1 and part 2, especially when it comes to a story that is fully fledged out and they want to make sure they do the story justice, or just controlling the excitement and level of hype to the release of something, right? We had Harry Potter, the last movie had part 1, part 2. We have the final Avengers movie, or at least the previous Avengers movie, we had part 1 and part 2. Right, part 1, part 2 just seems to be the way a lot of these things roll. And when it comes to Inazuma, with how it's already been introduced versus how I think miHoYo's tendencies are, will likely come in 2 parts. Now, yes, this is not the first time I've been saying this on my channel, that I think Inazuma will be having part 1 and part 2 releases. While it's very normal for a business to want to release their product in 2 parts, one of the main reasons I think miHoYo has to do it this way is because of hype management. We all know how dangerous it can be when something is hyped up to the extreme, just like Inazuma, especially since we have had a huge content drought for 3-4 patches now, and people are looking forward to Inazuma. One of the best ways to give miHoYo the best chance of success is by dividing the release into 2 parts and being able to manage player expectations and seeing player reactions through the first part release, and maybe even make final adjustments to part 2 accordingly so they get the reaction that they want. Essentially, they have 2 chances to nail Inazuma's release, right? Think about it like that. If the first one, they kind of tease us a little bit, give us story, give us great music, give us a couple islands, of course, some new characters, and we're like, miHoYo, come on, man, we know you got more under your sleeve. We want to see this, we want to see that, right? miHoYo can easily be like, okay, so part 2, we're going to incorporate some of these changes and roll out part 2 to make sure that the players who are still unhappy with part 1 gets what they want in part 2. I don't think I need to be the one who come out and says this, but miHoYo is a people pleaser. They want to make sure everybody has something at the very least that they're happy about, and this is not going to change once we get to Inazuma. miHoYo is still going to continue to try to satisfy as wide of an audience as possible. And it all comes down to what I just said, right? Appeasing to as wide of an audience as possible, because that's what Genshin has been doing for the longest time. We can play it on mobile, we can play it on PC, we can play it on PS4, PS5. I heard they're integrating it onto the Wii, the Switch, whatever, right? They're just trying to hit the widest audience possible. And by releasing Inazuma in 2 parts, they're able to reduce the gap and time between Inazuma and the next major region or small region. It's not a secret that players like new places to explore, like new lore to be able to consume, and of course new characters are great, but the previously mentioned 2 are what makes the bulk of the player base continue to be invested into Genshin Impact. So being able to decrease the gap between this major region and the next major region is always going to be something that miHoYo is looking towards, because it's difficult to make great content for this game. There's a certain level of quality that comes with it. There's a certain level of expectation that miHoYo is constantly evolving in developing Genshin Impact. I mean, just look at the constellation trees. Actually, I was talking about this in my comment section in my old video, in that Some people who are relatively new to the game don't even know that back before patch 1.2, that constellations used to be slowly built up towards constellation 6, and then, your character just becomes broken. But nowadays, constellation 1 is the second best in value in most of the newer characters' constellation tree, next to constellation 6. And there's a reason for that, and that is because miHoYo is once again trying to hit as big of an audience as possible. If by giving C1 so much power and potential, it may push some people over that edge, be like, okay, it's just another $50 for the character that I really love. I already saved up a little more than one copy, another $50, and I can get that C1. So it's gonna be the same tactic that's used in Inazuma. Of course, with part 1 of Inazuma, it's gonna be tied with limited time events. Of course. Currently, I don't know, because miHoYo even have more ways to capitalize now. They also have limited time furnitures they can use to bait people, right? Imagine some limited time Inazuma furniture from part 1, all tied around events, new mini games. I know some people don't like minigames, but I think miHoYo does have a working formula going on here, so they don't want to mess this up. Now, finally, I want to talk a little bit about when I think Inazuma is dropping. I know a lot of people are saying that after 1.6, 1.7 is likely going to be Inazuma, and I do think that is a fair statement to be making. One of the main reasons is because currently with the Magu boss, which holds Kazuha's ascension material, is going away if the Golden Apple Archipelago does get removed. So they need to put that boss somewhere else so people can still farm for Kazuha. Now here is the thing. Once the Golden Apple Archipelago goes away, so does Kazuha's banner. And which means for people who get Kazuha on the last day, if the boss disappears and doesn't get added into the game elsewhere, they are completely screwed. And I think following this line of thought makes a lot of sense. However, this is actually essentially why I originally said, it's too good to be true for a whole region to be dropped just because miHoYo needed some sort of answer to a minor inconvenience. That's why I think maybe 1 or 2 islands may be released from Inazuma with the Magu on it, and that's gonna solve the issue. And we also get introduction into Inazuma. It's gonna be part 1 of the story, right? How are we gonna get in? I don't know. Very, very exciting stuff though. If I recall correctly, I think there were 4 islands, and then plus Inazuma is on the 5th island or something. I don't remember 100%, but I know there are several islands, each with different and distinct characteristics. So with that said, please tell me what you think. Do you think miHoYo is gonna drop Inazuma in one go? I personally do not think so, and I personally don't mind it, because giving them a second chance means that there's more we can talk about. Write them into the survey and see if miHoYo will respond with part 2. Once again, my name is Erotic Walrus. I upload videos to YouTube every single day regarding Genshin Impact, and I stream twice a week on Wednesdays and Saturdays here on YouTube. Until tomorrow's video, I urge you all to stay safe and peace.